Welcome back to This Takes the Cake in our Palm Beach office. I am here with the queen
Woohoo.
of S&B who flew in for our grand opening last night.
And it was amazing.
You're so good.
You did so good.
Thank you. We had so much fun. We had all of our vendor friends come out and support, and we are truly honored to have so many people love us and support us and send us their couples and trust us with their couples. So it was really, really fun celebrating with everybody.
And it was cool to meet everybody that I've seen tagged.
I know. It's different, right? Because when
yeah.
I go to the Myrtle Beach office, I get to see vendors that I see all the time too. So everybody's excited to meet you too. That's how I sold the party. I was like, the queen will be here.
You're funny.
But we had a really good time. It was a lot of fun. And I appreciate everybody coming out to support us. Today, we're talking about balancing dream weddings versus reality, which I think is always a hard
Expectations,
it's a hard
right?
expectation, and it's a hard conversation sometimes
Very hard.
when they're sending you. To me, it's more so, I think the hardest is like florals and decor.
Oh, yeah, because they send you inspo of $1 million weddings.
Yeah, they send me like Kim Kardashian's wedding, and then my budget's $3,000. I'm like, all right, let's see what we can do. And even
Right.
like, you know, you gotta figure when you're doing decor and florals, you know, $3,000 budget is not getting you $3,000 worth of flowers. You have taxes, you have deliveries, you have setup fees.
Labor. Yeah, absolutely. It's getting
It's-
about half of that.
Yeah, exactly. You're getting $1,500.
That is
worth of
bouquets and boutonnieres.
Easy. And it also depends on the flowers. Don't send me like some amazing orchid that's only flown in from New Zealand and be like, yeah, my budget's $3,000.
Right.
So, what else do you find that is like when people want the dream luxury wedding versus the budget?
Meaning,
Like when they send you that, like, how do you help them understand?
right. Well, I mean, obviously one of the first things that we do, and I know that you do as well, is really break down a budget. I'm like, they're like, oh, there is no budget, but there is a budget.
Oh, there's a budget.
Everybody has a budget. I don't care how much money you have. So really breaking down that budget so they can see expectations. And, you know, a lot of people come to us and they're like, well, I don't even know what a band costs. And then I hit them with $5,000 to $30,000 and they're like, oh, we want to be at the $5,000 band,
And
not
a
the
$5,000
$30,000
band sounds like a $5,000 band. So,
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
know, when you're getting that, like, understand that it's not going to be a celebrity band. I think it's important for us, and I know you guys do that too. To me, each wedding is customized. So
Absolutely.
we have our percentages based on budgets and things like that, on what we want to do, and what typically the amount is for each category. However, I always want to find out what's important to the client. If, you know, florals and decor are not that important, or they're an outdoor venue where it's going to be a lot of trees and greenery, do we have to go crazy on flowers? If entertainment's super important, I want to know entertainment's super important. And that's where I can kind of adjust those numbers too, you know, a little bit.
No,
like,
for sure. I mean, like a priority, obviously you want to spend the most money there.
yeah,
I have a client right now and the band is priority, so they're splurging on the band.
that's awesome.
They're
And that's
going to
amazing.
cut corners in other places.
Which I get, because yes, you have the general budget as far as like, you can go lows and highs. You can mix up, you know, centerpieces and things like that. But at the end of the day, you could have amazing centerpieces and amazing linens, but nobody's going to walk out saying, God, what a great wedding. Those linens were fantastic. However, they're in your detail shots.
They are. For us, they're important. I always tell people, like, no one's going to remember the fork you ate off of or the linen, but we are for detail shots.
Yeah.
People are going to really remember the experience. So the band, the booze.
They're going to remember if they're not dancing. They're going to
Oh, yeah.
remember if the food was horrible.
They are.
They're going to remember the experience 100%. If your guest experience is main priority,
Priority all the time.
always.
I'll have clients that be like, we don't need heaters. We don't need sidewalls. And I'm like, the only thing they're going to remember from your 6-figure wedding you're having right now is how cold it was.
And they could
So-
enjoy themselves.
Absolutely.
Or if the rain is blowing in, or the wind is blowing the linens off the tables,
or
things like that.
here in, Florida, how hot it was.
It's always hot.
Right.
They always, well, and it's funny because we do a July wedding outside, and the bride's like, I don't want to take any more pictures. I'm so hot. I'm melting. Are you not from around here?
Yeah.
It's Florida in July. Like, this is
Right?
expected.
No, absolutely.
Vendor availability and pricing. I think it's important for couples to realize that there's vendors that are available. There's wedding season. There's not wedding season. To us, we always want to lock in your day of people first. So based
Absolutely.
on priority, your photo, your video, your planner, your entertainment, Florists can do a couple weddings in a day. Bakery can do a couple weddings in
And
a day.
don't let that, I always tell my clients, like, don't let that scare you. Like, that's totally normal.
Oh, yeah, because
you
they have
know?
a staff and a team, for sure.
And I always tell people the band can only be at one place at one time. Photographer can only be at one place at one time. You know, like you just said.
Once the date is gone, the date is gone.
It
I don't
is.
want each couple to get who's left. I want them to get who they want, who they picked.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I like to reach out to, because I know we use IL Planner and we get everything on there as far as budget. And what I like to do is, because I think the emails can get crazy, is reach out to like 3 to 5 proposals per category for weddings so that they can see, because I think that's also setting the expectations. They may not realize floral budgets, $3,000 isn't going to make it. But I think that it's important for them to see, okay, here's 5 florists.
Right.
Okay, now I see what I'm looking at. Now I can see the breakdown of the fees. Now I can, and I tell them, if you're flexible on types of flowers, colors of flowers, styles of flowers,
Right.
you know, they can work on that.
And I do sometimes they're like, oh, I'm getting married on Tuesday or Thursday. Can they give a better deal? I'm like, flowers cost the same price on Saturday as they did on Tuesday. You
That's
know?
true.
And same for us. They're like, you know, I'm like, we're doing the same work if it's a Saturday or a Tuesday wedding.
It's the same amount of team members on the wedding. It's the same guest count, things like that. Now,
nothing's changing. A venue's a little different.
Venue's
for sure.
different. Venue will definitely, but that's out of wedding season too, because
Of course.
especially our venues around here, like they're booked out every day of the week with corporate parties, holiday parties, things like that for the holidays. So there's always some kind of corporate luncheon that they're doing or something along the lines too. Where do you, let's see, vendors available. How do you tell them to be flexible? Like, I know there's make or breaks. I know there's like, you know, every girl dreams of this and wants certain things, but how do we like coax them into being flexible on it's okay if this doesn't?
Right. And I think that's where like expectations and like in the beginning telling them like, if this is exactly what you want, you know, this is what we're going to have to do.
Yeah.
It's going to be, you know, so I think I always tell people expectations, everything. I'd rather, you know, now than, you know, 2 weeks prior to the wedding,
Exactly.
you know? So like if you meet with a florist and let's just say peonies are your thing. Well, they can be flown in from all these places, but peony season's like April, May. So like, if you're getting them and, you know, some florists would be like, you know, I can't guarantee them. So expectations of letting them know, not just saying yes, yes, yes.
Yes, exactly.
You know, for sure. So,
and I think it's important for them to, once we start getting those proposals and we start getting those where they can see the difference, then it's kind of like, it's a little bit of a kind of a kick in the stomach, because they're like, oh, I didn't realize. But I didn't realize I can't get hanging ceilings from my 20-foot ceiling at $5,000.
Right. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing is on our sheet here about, you know, what's important, realistic expectations. You know, most couples, you know, they dream this vision and then they're blindsided by all these costs. And I think in the beginning, expectations, I just had a client, I'll give an example, and she's like, our budget's $100,000. Don't get me wrong, $100,000 is a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
But after she's talked about she wants the tented wedding and we want this $20,000 band, I had to send her a real budget.
Oh, yeah.
And told her $200,000 is what
you're looking at for this.
Yeah. And so I think by like having guidance from a planner like us to tell people, you know, what things are really going to cost. And your client has to trust you. We do this every day. We're not trying to push you in a higher direction. We're trying to help you be realistic. And that's why we reach out for so many different proposals. And I give them like examples. I'm like, you know, you get what you pay for. So
with everything in life.
Like you could go to the Louis store and get a brand new Louis, or you could go to Canal Street, New York City and get you a Louis.
Which I'm not opposed to.
Yeah, same. But, you know, it's your expectations. That Louis bag will last forever. Your plastic Louis from Canal Street
is not going to.
Oh, what was that wedding you just recently did?
Which one?
You had texted about Pinterest fail. It was florals.
Oh, with the
it was like asymmetrical looking thing.
Oh, I don't remember. Which one was it? What do you remember the venue?
No.
Was it florals? Was it fake florals or no?
No, it was I thought it was real.
I don't remember which one it was.
Oh.
Was it?
Just kidding. It was not too long ago.
It was did I get the gallery back yet?
No, I don't think so. It was like on site.
Yes, I remember.
Okay. I'm like, I know that was you.
Yes.
But I don't.
You're like, wait, let me look at the other owners in my phone.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So we had a wedding. It was supposed to be asymmetrical arches. It was absolutely beautiful. And luckily, the florist puts pictures of what the bride envisions in the contract. So that being said, this came and it did not look like the pictures in the contract.
It looks like if you'd have taken a DIY project from, a cooking thing from Pinterest and then what you're,
Oh, we called it a Temu.
Temu.
It was a Temu. It was a Temu.
It wasn't Shein. It was Temu.
Yeah. Temu. It was, so the colors were not the same. The florals were not the same. She had picked orchids. There was no orchids. There was a lot of stuff going on.
And what package were you with that one?
I was month of.
Yeah. So a lot of times when people just book us month of, we can't protect what vendors you book.
Exactly.
I mean, obviously we try to guide you.
I had never worked with this florist before. We always send out a preferred vendor list, but
and the bride probably booked her because she was a good deal.
Yeah. Well, it was. And when I saw the florals on the contract and then I saw the price of the florals and I'm like, oh, okay, we need to follow up. The florist showed up 2 hours late. We called the week of the wedding and said, just confirming your arrival time. And she said, you don't tell me when to come. I'll come when I come.
Oh, okay.
I said, okay.
That's a good way to work with you again.
Yeah. Referral list negative. And I tell the girls this. I said we need a not just a preferred vendor list, but a like red flag list.
Right, we should have that.
We should have
a
that.
blacklist.
And and this is exactly why, and have pictures of it included. But the florist came, and the mom came outside, and she was like, "That is not the colors we picked. That is not the style we picked. That is like nothing of that." Now, at every wedding, I have a whole binder full of every contract, whether it's month of, full planning, just to make sure I know what I'm looking at. So I said, okay, well, we can talk to her. Well, as I'm outside talking to the mom, the florist turns around and yells at the mom right then and there and was like, you don't need to be out here. I don't want you judging what I'm working on yet. It's not completed. Florist showed up at 3:00. Ceremony was at 5. We had 4:30 arrival on the
OMG.
And 4:30, she was still not done. She goes, well, you had 5:00. And I said, but I have now we're running so far behind. My photographer has no detail shots of setup. I had to lay the aisle runner. We had to tape it down. We were trying to help her and move her along. I had to pull the curtains and keep the guests inside because she wasn't ready. Then in turn, it was moving everything. And then she was yelling at us. She said, your timeline was wrong. I'm like, we called you to confirm your arrival time. You said no. She goes, well, then I had people call in sick and I had this and somebody just had a baby. And I'm like, listen,
excuses.
We all have shit. Like everybody's got something but that's not a bride's problem. That's not a us problem. That's a you problem.
Right.
I can't come to the bride and go, I can't come to your wedding tomorrow. My girls are sick. Like, I can't do that. We all have responsibilities.
Can we reschedule?
Yeah. Your wedding's really not falling on a good day for me. So things happen. You have to have a plan B, plan C, plan D. Like, let's go.
And these are, everybody's one big day. It's not a birthday. It's not, it's
a big day. And it's a big, you're putting
I've worked weddings having the flu. It is what it is. Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You man up and you got to go. Yeah. You put a lot
I tried to stay as far away as possible, but like, I didn't have an option.
It's a lot of Dayquil. Let's go.
Exactly.
We got to roll.
Exactly.
And we don't get sick days. But that's being said, like, if your girl called in sick that morning, okay, that sucks. But at the same time, why aren't you at your place putting all the florals together before, so you just have to transport them and drop them rather than sitting there putting them together on the day of? We had room reveal on our contract, and the room reveal went ahead and do what?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the room reveal went late because she hadn't moved the arch up top and things like that.
Dang.
So it was a little bit crazy.
Okay, so let's talk about areas about where to splurge and where to save, and like what can be the most impactful. So let's hear.
For me,
on your side.
I'm 17 years in married. I think where to splurge, photography is what you have left at the end of the day. When the band stops playing,
it's true.
When the florals die, when the cake is gone, you have your photography to look back on for years to come with your kids, your grandkids at some point. These are all going to be albums that are handed down throughout your family. I have a wedding video that do I look at it every anniversary? No, I don't look at it. I barely look at it. But
no, for sure.
It's something that we see people dancing at our wedding that have since passed away. And, you know, it's something I show my kids, and they, you know, they look back and they like seeing the day mommy was a princess. And I'm look back and like, look how skinny I was before you all ruined me.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, definitely photography is like for sure one, because I always tell people that's the one thing you walk away with. And a bad photographer, like, they're not getting on the Instagram, they're not going to the blog, none of that, you know, because
it's one of those things where,
and it sucks because when they're upset, you know, the client after the wedding,
you can't redo that day.
Yeah, no,
you really can't redo that. Now your flowers come in and you don't like them, we can get that fixed. We can get the florist out there to make adjustments, do things.
Of course.
Entertainment, I think you have to splurge on.
Band.
Entertainment is the
all the way.
whole experience.
I mean, I love a DJ, so all our good DJs, but a band is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Our producer's not checking on the lights.
Yeah, there you go.
The lights are motion. You have to keep them going.
That's too funny. I love it.
So I think band. What do you think about food and catering and things like that?
Definitely food and bar for sure. Photography, band, food and bar. I mean, because people remember the experience, and then any event, the experience you had includes the food and drinks, because that's what you're there obviously to do, and then obviously dancing and having a good time.
Yeah, they're not going to remember if you had, you know, bathroom baskets. They're going to remember if they were sitting down all night, if there was 4 people on the dance floor. If people are leaving your wedding early, if they're not over the age of 75, something needs to switch. Let's switch the way things are going. Yeah. Everybody should be dancing all night long.
No, for sure. And so, like, even with the details, like, let's say it's a 200, you know, person wedding and it's stations or, you know, very cocktail mingle. Like, you can still set the head table and do pretty flatware, chargers, menus, all those for details. But you can save and not do everybody else.
Oh yeah, like a head table or a sweetheart table or something like that. And I tell when my couples want to splurge on linens, well, it depends on what linen you want. You want a regular linen. I mean, they can range from $12 to $75 a linen if you're getting a velvet linen.
Oh yeah.
So if you want those detail shots, do maybe, you know, every other table. Do your cake table, do your royal table, do your sweetheart table. You don't have to go crazy on 20 tables,
absolutely,
but maybe the head table and the parent tables.
Yeah.
You know, and your photographer can shoot a different look on each table too. So it doesn't necessarily mean, hey, we spent money on these tables, but it definitely looks like we wanted to set these people apart a little bit.
Right. And agree. And then I know we're going to get into this about where to save and things like that. Don't go buy all this stuff, because what are you going to do with it afterward?
That is
nothing. You're going to be like, hey, do you want this? And I'm like, no.
No, it's going to be on like offer up of, hey, I have, you know,
and they think they're
saving
money, but in reality, if they added it all up,
what
they
are you
spent
doing
more.
with 200 chargers at the end of this?
And
like
200
that's a big Thanksgiving
votives
dinner.
And candles. I just had one a few weeks ago, and they bought hundreds of vases and candles. Like, and then they're like, do you want these? I'm like, no.
Yes. And you're not saving because that's an additional labor cost.
Yeah, because don't worry, you're getting a bill from me.
Yeah.
If I have to set out 100 glass vases, candles, I mean, that just becomes the floral.
Do you
know?
remember
now
our
become
first,
the florist.
Oh yeah, our first wedding here, she wanted 100 glass orbs hung from the trees.
Oh yeah, did we hang this?
Very low.
Yeah, we did. Oh yeah, the one at starts with a S.
Yes, Sunday House.
Sunday House. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, can't forget.
She wanted and I'm like, and they were little tiny glass orbs with tea lights in them, so we had to light the tea and hang all these. And I remember sending you that, and you were like, no. We got to bring in ladders. We got to bring in people. We got to bring in extra people.
So if you are planning to be the DIY, that's fine. Let's just say you have a planner, us, whoever. They're going to charge you additional labor because they got to bring more staff to prep all that, put it out, and then break it down. So by the time all that labor, you've bought everything, you could have just paid the florist the amount of money and not had to worry about it.
And we're not professional florists. We are, and that I think there's a fine line that people tend to get a little bit misconstrued. Is a wedding planner is not a laborer.
No.
There is a huge difference.
I mean, I'm not afraid to pick up a table and move it 6 inches to center it and, you know, push the linens in to kiss the linen or push the chair in to kiss the linen and things like that. But like,
we're fine tuning the details. But when you ship 18 boxes to my house, like that's 2 or 3 trips to get, I don't have a U-Haul sitting in the driveway. So that's 2 or 3 trips in my car to get everything down to the venue. And then we have to sit there and set it up. I have to bring extra staffing because we only have so many hours. And keep in mind, a lot of these venues, and I don't know if you guys have this, but especially in Florida, if they have other events going on that day, we can't get to the venue till 3 o'clock. They won't even let us in till 3 o'clock. When you have a 5 or 6 p.m. ceremony, that does not give us much time. So, and not to mention that takes us away from focusing on you guys as a couple and being your planner and being the one who is there to fluff your dress, help bustle, make sure your veil is right for pictures, and be there for you. So it's like, you know, some of my couples are like, well, where's my planner? Well, I'm setting up 300 candles right now.
Yeah,
I can't.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't. And it's like, no, we don't want extra staff on it. Well, then I can't be with you all day. Well, we want somebody with us, and we might need help with this, and we might need help with that.
The dressing service.
Exactly. The dressing service. Or we want somebody at the hotel room to sit with us all day to make sure we're on track with the schedule. That's fine. That's my job. Setting up 200 candles is not.
Right. And then we got to light them. I mean, that's part of our job is lighting candles.
Lighting candles, making sure. Exactly.
We got to go light them all.
As far as saving, though, I'm a huge fan of repurposing. You're at ceremony 30 minutes. Of course. Repurpose the hell out of your ceremony arrangements. We have florists who'll do these gorgeous aisle runners down, these huge pedestals down the aisle.
Yeah.
Those could be 6 or 8 centerpieces that you don't have to buy.
That or on the stage.
Exactly.
You know, they could go there, the entrance of the venue or the tent. There's all kinds of different places.
We had that one wedding that she did a huge arch and she did a amazing aisle runner down. We moved everything in front of the stage and across down the royal table. The wedding got published in Florida Weddings magazine. So repurposing is awesome. Bridesmaids bouquets, we'll put them at the cake table, we'll put them at the bars. Signage, I wouldn't say you have to splurge on, like welcome signs and seating charts.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, a seating chart is a statement piece at cocktail hour. If you have a huge mirrored seating chart, it's a statement piece. But these brides who are flying in destination weddings, you can get something printed on a nice foam board, frame it, buy a frame.
Yeah, if that's not important to you, people aren't really gonna.
Bar signs you can frame. You can really kind of
can make those on Canva. Get a nice frame at Home Goods.
Exactly.
I know that our vendors aren't gonna like to hear this, but like save the dates and invitations. Like save there.
Yeah.
Like I know that's the first impression. I mean, still want it nice, but like. You don't have to spend $5,000 in invitations. Like you could definitely
$5,000 could be towards your farewell brunch. That's again part of the experience, or your welcome party for your guests. Don't do 4-foot tall centerpieces on every table. Do a mix of highs and lows. You know, and if you do a circular ground arch, that's something we could put in front of the sweetheart table. Your guests go to cocktail hour in a separate location. So the whole point is to make that magic happen to where we move everything. Well, they're at cocktail hour. They have no idea what came from ceremony.
They don't. Save on the cake, unless the cake is all the things we're saying, unless that's important to you. You know, I mean, we have clients that come to us and they're like, everything's important. I'm like, okay, pull out your checkbook, you know. But I mean, a smaller 3-tier cake, have the sheet cake in the back. It's pre-sliced, ready to go. They don't know that it didn't come from the cake. You can save $1,000 there easily.
Oh yeah, you can get something small for pictures.
But please don't go to Publix. Because they never call me back, they never email me back, and they just show up randomly.
We'll make sure to block Publix from this podcast.
Yes, sorry. But do you use Publix down here?
I have a lot of couples use Publix cakes.
But do you ever get to talk to Publix to know when they show up?
No, I can't ever find out who did the cake order.
I'm like, oh, you're here. Cool. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, no, we call and we talk to the bakery manager. And nobody's like, well, we got it. What time are you delivering?
Did you know? So a recent hire in the Myrtle Beach office, she worked for Publix and decorated the cakes.
Ooh, tell us more.
So so we know lots of things. So other than her boss, she said was the meanest lady she ever worked for. But
That's good for you now.
Yeah, they do not bake the cake in Publix.
Stop it.
Is that wild? They get shipped in. So like if you get a wedding cake, the rounds get all shipped in, and all they do there is icing, put the icing, and decorate it.
That's why it doesn't smell amazing in Publix.
Isn't
I just
wild?
noticed that. Because you walk into a bakery, it smells like a bakery.
Yeah, but who would ever know that?
So it's a shipped cake.
Shipped cake.
Huh.
Which means it's been baked a long time ago, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't baked within the day.
But I would rather, again, back to pictures and detail shots, I would rather have a dessert display.
Oh my God. We're going to get photos back from this weekend, but I had the most amazing cake and dessert station I've ever seen. It was wild.
I can't wait to see it.
Oh yeah, it was so good.
Did you steal some?
Of course. Even when it got set out, I had to just try one and make sure it was going to be okay for everybody.
It's a safety thing.
Yeah,
you want to make sure the guests are good.
Exactly.
I think splurge on the cocktail napkins.
Oh yeah. Look, I mean, those little things you
Cups.
can spend $1,000 on,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
not anything, too expensive. Other things to save. This is just me personally. Transportation. We're all adults. You have an app, Uber. You can hire car service. You can get a taxi. Like, I don't think that's
Uber XL. And that's why I tell, like, clients ask me all the time, oh, should we get a Sprinter van? The bigger the vehicle is going to be the more minimum amount of hours required.
Oh, yeah. A lot of them are minimum 4, minimum 8, depending on how big it is.
Exactly. So if you're just doing a 15-minute transport, do an Uber XL. Depending on, now I will say depending on where your venue is, because Ubers are going to go to, especially at the end of the night, they're going to go to where they can make the fastest money. So in Jupiter, there's a lot of restaurants and bars around, so they're around there pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But if you're doing a ranch wedding out in God knows where.
Where was that one we did?
Ranch wedding, God knows where.
Was that it? What was the name of the venue? We had the big buses. Lily.
Oh, it was White Trails.
White Trails. Like you would need a bus out there.
It was a dirt road, and we needed a bus out there. You need transportation out there. Ubers
so like
are
if
not
you're at a
coming out
place
there.
like that, obviously that has to be a priority.
Yeah.
But
if you're like at Pelican Club or like
we're
where there's
all
cars
you're
coming
all
and going.
adults. You got invited to the wedding. Like, let's just say I was to get married tomorrow, I went to a wedding. Like, I don't think it's the client's responsibility to get me there and back.
We went
that would be like they need to book my flight, my hotel, all those things. That I'm an adult, I can do that.
Well, and when I go to a wedding, and I very rarely get invited anymore because I'm super judgy now. But when I go to, do you do that?
Maybe.
Like,
Rex is like, don't say anything.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
My husband's like, can you just enjoy and have a drink? You never get to drink and enjoy at a wedding. I'm like, okay, but the linen sizes are all wrong. So.
Oh my God.
Right? Or when the chairs are pushed in, it's like irking me.
Literally.
But when I go to a wedding, you don't know if the kids get sick, something didn't sit right, your feet hurt. I want to come and go as I please. I don't want to be sitting on a bus with 30 other people that I don't know from your wedding. I'll just Uber there and back. So don't pay for the transportation. That's one of the things is if you do a destination wedding and a lot of your guests are flying in, I mean, if they're coming in for the wedding weekend, I would have a rental car anyway for the weekend. Right? I would be doing my own thing.
Absolutely. And I've done on the cute little bar signs, like if you're from out of town, a taxi number, if they don't have the Uber, or, whatever. So as long as you're giving them access to who to call or what to do, for
exactly.
sure.
And you could even do a QR code that takes them to your wedding website with all that information listed there of numbers of things like that.
Right.
So
for sure.
I just don't think. And it's a hard way to find out. And I always say, like, see how many guests are going to utilize it. We've had people book 50 passenger buses for thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and 10 people take it at the end of the night.
Right.
Because everybody's either left or gone or doing their thing. So I think transportation you can definitely save on. And transportation schedules are, for lack of a better term, a bitch.
And then the driver calls, I don't know where this is.
If the driver speaks English.
Well, yeah, for you.
I had a bus breakdown.
There's just so many variables with that.
I had a bus breakdown on the way to the wedding, and he called me. He's like, well, my bus broke down. I'm trying to get there. And I'm like, you have 40 passengers. Like, I can't start. The bride's like, we're not starting without 40 people at my wedding. And we're not walking to an empty ceremony anyway.
Right.
But I mean, what do you do? He got like, I broke down on 95, and I'm like calling the transportation. I'm like, jump in my car. Let's go. I had a bus driver get lost with my bridal party. And never got there, never got to the hotel, and the bride's calling me, and I threw him the keys to the Yukon. I'm like, go get the bridal party, which is huge liability, but was she going to miss her own wedding? I mean, we try not to do that.
And I think, we talk about saving, like, this is definitely a thing. I mean, if you hire a planner, you're going to save. We have perks that you're going to be able to save with other vendors, but also it'd be like building a house without a, contractor. So you're going to end up having more mistakes and having to repay somebody else to fix them. So just hire us.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, you're going to hire a contractor to build your house, or you're going to hire a handyman
to fix everything.
Everybody has a bridesmaid's best friend's cousin who planned a wedding at one point in their life.
Right.
Unless you're getting paid for it, here's how, unless you're getting paid to do it, I'm a planner. Unless you're getting paid for it, it is a hobby. You are not a planner. You have planned a wedding. I planned my wedding 17 years ago. I was not a planner. I was a bride planning my own wedding. There's a big difference. I helped my sister-in-law plan her wedding. I helped my cousin plan her wedding. I still was not a planner at that point.
Right. And they don't have the relationships that we do with our vendors. I mean, same for you. I'm sure you can make a phone call today and make something happen. I could do the same. Hey, we need 3 more cocktail tables, and
Absolutely.
we'll take whatever linen you have, but I need 3 linens.
Absolutely.
You know?
I mean,
and so, I mean, that's the biggest thing.
it
you
is.
know?
And I've had couples call that are month ofs, and they're like, I'm not getting a hold of my DJ or whoever. And I'm like, I'm only month of, but I can text him right now and he'll call me back. The difference is that they see us in their inbox and their phone calls all the time. So they're used to talking to us. And that's the importance of us building good relationships with our vendors, because they will come through tried and true for us to make it happen, which is important. How do you feel like setting expectations and remaining calm on a wedding day?
So that starts with us as the planners. So I just actually had a wedding this weekend, and I think because we weren't running around with the chicken with their head cut off, and like we were just so calm, and we had everything, you know, timing wise, all planned out with like set up with the tent and things like that. They thought something was wrong. They were like, "What can we help do?" Blah blah. I'm like, "We're good." Like, and they were just very high strung, and I'm just like the chillest person at a wedding. Like, we got you, we're good. And so that starts with our energy and our feed. If we're acting like, oh my God, what are we going to do? You know, that's going to feed into them.
For sure. And I think one of the main things is, and that's why we always say we have one point of contact. Whoever signed our contract is our point of contact. I cannot have 13 bridesmaids running around freaking out over something that I've already got to handle.
Some of the silliest stuff too. I can't think of something right now, like exactly. But
I had a bride's dress break, and the bride's like, "Oh my God, oh my God!" The bride's like, "Wait, what? What's going on? What's going on? Oh my God!" I'm like, "Let's not do that. I have a sewing kit. We'll get it fixed. It's not a big deal."
I never knew, like, until I've been around so many bridesmaids, like how like crazy they can be.
They really and
the energy. I'm like, calm down.
And it's true. It's they have the same goal as everybody. They want your day to be perfect as the bride. They love you. They care about you. They're in your wedding for a reason. But you have to kind of let go of the reins and trust that the professionals have this at this point. And the good news is if something happens, it's on us. It's not on your bridesmaid who had no contact with any of the vendors.
Right? Yeah.
You know, we'll handle it. I had one bride come to me and she said, "Oh my God, the bus is late. It's 30 minutes late. It's going to run us completely wrong on the timeline, this, that, and the other." And I said, "Don't worry about it. We've got this. I put cushion in my timeline. You won't see it, but there's always cushion in my timeline. Don't even worry about it." She goes, "Oh, okay." And I walked away. "Oh my God, the bus is 30 minutes late." She didn't see that part of me. And the girl's like, "I'm calling right now." Yeah. But I can't freak out when, you know, last weekend, I think we had the biggest, I'd say wardrobe malfunction that I have ever seen. And
was it worse than them sewing the bride in her dress?
We had to do similar, so Becca was at the
she
hotel.
laying on her stomach?
We did do that for a minute. So Becca had called me from the hotel and she said, "Hey, one of the bridesmaids' zipper busted," and it didn't break off. It like busted in the middle of it. We could not get the zipper off.
Rewind. Those are cheap bridesmaids dresses. Buy some good ones with real zippers. If you buy good ones, that doesn't happen.
This is true. Now we
just had it too.
Pretty much everything in our emergency kit, but you don't know what you need until you actually need it. I recently put scalpels in my emergency kit because we had to cut dance floor wrapping edges. So we did that. So
I have a heat gun. I don't know. Would that work on that heat gun?
Well, it might melt the whole thing off, but they left all the edges uneven. So we sliced it around the dance floor.
Sorry, I was thinking for taking it off.
The wrapping, yeah. And we sliced all the but I have scalpels.
I remember that looked bad before.
It looked horrible before. And they're my pictures. So
yeah, exactly.
So this Becca called me. She said, "We have safety pins." She said, "I ran out of mine because she used them all in the dress." And I said, yeah, we'll just get her here and we'll figure it out. Safety pins weren't going to work. Thread was not going to work. It was very busted. I looked at her dress. She had 2.
And I'm sure, was it tight already?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it had 2 spaghetti straps like this. And I looked at her. I said, "Do you need both straps?" She said, "No." We could have sewn it and the thread was not going to hold. It was missized really. She said, "No, I don't need those." So we cut off this. I have a video. I have to upload it. We cut off one strap. We took the scalpel and we poked holes down the entire dress and we tied the 2 spaghetti straps together and we made the whole back of her dress a corset.
Love it. That's why you need a planner.
Yeah.
Because mom and bridesmaid, they're not going to be creative to do those things.
We made the whole thing a corset. I've had a dress break, and the bridesmaid had long hair, so I was able to take all of her hair down and cover the back of her dress. This girl had short hair. There was no covering this, and she cannot walk down the aisle with a zipper.
And you can't wear like a fur here or anything to cover
We were
up.
looking for pashminas or something, but like we were trying to figure out something, but we made it a corset top. And I got the idea because I was in a wedding. I was a bridesmaid in a wedding, and my sister-in-law was there, and my strap had broken off, and there was no planner. I was, just a bride, and my sister-in-law came to me and she said, "Do you trust me?" And I said, "Yeah." And she ripped off my other strap and made it a halter dress, tied it in a bow around my neck, and made it. I was like,
"Oh wow,
oh, amazing! We'll make something out of nothing if we have to."
Right. I mean, we've done it.
All
the things, and I think having a planner, an experienced planner that can be creative when things happen. We recently had a wedding, and the caterer came to me like very panicky. He was like, "My heart's racing. I don't know what to do." And I'm like, he literally said, "We have a disaster." And I'm thinking,
that's a heavy word.
I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, where's the nearest KFC, Chick-fil-A to start ordering sides? I'm thinking like there's no food or something. He's like, "I dumped all the sweet potatoes. They fell out and they're all on the ground." This was one of the stations. I mean, we're talking like 30 minutes prior to dinner starting. So I was like, okay. I was like, where can we order sweet potatoes?
Yeah.
This was my process while I was
Honey Baked Ham Company, let's roll.
talking out loud. And thankfully we weren't like too far from too many places. And there was really no places that sold sweet potatoes that already made, that we could buy. And so we kept going down the list. I was like, "Do you have time to go to the store and make them?" And he was like, "No." And so I looked at the menu, and there was mashed potatoes on another station with something. This one was like sweet potato, collard greens, and I think chicken or something. So I was like, why don't we just take mashed potatoes, put them over there. We'll take the signage away there. Only we know, and if the client notices, we're the only people that know that sweet potatoes should be there. Guess what? No one's ever said a word about it.
Oh.
No one ever knew.
Nobody wanted sweet potatoes.
Well, they didn't know. I took the sign away. But, I mean, that's where you have to be creative and solve problems. I would have never went to the client being like, "Hey, they dropped all the sweet potatoes. Like, what do you want me to do?" Like, that's what we're getting paid to be there for.
Yeah, no. And that's the difference between a professional who's been there, who's done it, who does it every weekend. Like, do you love when they come to you with the video of bustling the dress? I took a video. We bustle 5 dresses a weekend. We got this, but
I always like, "Oh, is it ribbons or is it buttons?" Like,
yeah, we have the crochet hooks. We have.
I mean, I hate to say I don't even need to see the video, but
I said, "No, we got this. We're good."
I mean, there's been some times I've been in bustles and I'm like, "Girls, just start
pinning it."
That, and also a safety pin in it, because some of these people I don't know what kind of bustle they made or what they were thinking, but I'm like, I just need it to be up at this point.
Yeah,
no one's going to see the back. No one's looking.
No, and I love a good dress change. Throughout the night. And I tell my couples who even aren't planning on a dress change, bring something extra. It's going to be hot. You're going to be dancing. Somebody might run into you with a glass of wine and spill something on you. This poor bride a few weeks ago, we were bustling her dress, and the entire dress smelled like beer, and it was soaked. And I'm like, we're going to do a dress change sooner than later. She's like, "Yeah, it's kind of sticking to me." So things like that happen. I think that's important to remember. And that's where I think everybody has a vision of what they want in their wedding. That being said, if things are not exactly as you envision, it will be okay. You are the only one that knows, like you said.
Right? No one even still knows till this day that there was no sweet potatoes.
Well, they do now when this airs.
I know, right? They don't know who they are. Maybe. They'll be like, did I eat sweet potatoes at my wedding? That's too funny. So advice to give to couples in terms of managing expectation and embracing imperfection. I mean, sometimes these stories are like become funny jokes and memorable things of things that happen at weddings, So, like I said, I think really just the expectation for in the beginning,
Exactly. Setting the expectation, it's going to be okay. And at some point you just have to say, you know what it is? It's going to be what it is. Let it go. I've seen so many brides literally ruin their own day because they're so worried about everything going perfect. And at the end of it's done. You don't get to redo. Enjoy the hell out of your day. Dance all the dances, eat all the food, drink all the drinks, party hard. You don't get to do it again. And if your bustle breaks, if your veil flows off walking down the aisle and blows away, and something gets caught on something, or the flowers are just a little bit hint of a color off. I did have a wedding that the flowers came and the brides came to me. She was actually texting me during speeches. These are not the color flowers I wanted. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? I didn't want these. I said no purple or whatever. And I'm like, well, and I had the contract there, and I said, well, I checked the contract when everything came and it said purple. Yes, but I told her I didn't want that color. Well, that's a conversation. If it didn't make it to the contract, you don't know if whoever you spoke to is in the flower shop that day when they're putting everything together.
Yeah, contract is huge. And I mean, expectations again.
Put a note on there. I mean, something, not that I post it. Put it on, make sure, can you send me the updated contract? That's important to say. If you change your food, if you change your photography coverage, if you want a drone footage.
Because that's normally what's getting printed out and shown to everybody.
Absolutely. I'll throw in a drone. Well, if the drone doesn't show up that day, did you see it on the contract?
Exactly.
That person, if they're not the owner, they may not work at the company anymore.
Right.
So things like that. But the photographer was sitting there and he said, I will turn every one of these roses white in your pictures for her because it wasn't the right color. And she goes, oh my God, that's amazing. And I'm thinking, that is dedication because that's a hell of a lot of editing.
That'd be a lot of work
to do that for her. And a couple margaritas later, she texted me again during the wedding. I actually do like the purple. Let's leave it.
Oh my gosh.
I said, you're funny.
Sometimes they just need words of affirmation and be like, oh my God, I love it. Why would we change it?
Yes, exactly.
I'm like, this ugly as hell, but we love it. We're going to love it right now.
Yeah, we love it right now. And I think that's setting expectations too. Let your bridesmaids know. Let your mothers know. Let the mother-in-laws know. We have a planner. Everything's going to be fine because so many people are working hard to make your day perfect. And so everybody has the same goal. But step back and enjoy your daughter's day. Enjoy your best friend's day. Enjoy your sister's day. Let us do the heavy lifting and the work and making sure everything's good because that's where too many cooks are in the kitchen type of a thing.
So we have on here share real life stories from a couple or anything that they had to make compromises. And obviously adapt to their wedding. I definitely have a good one. Do you have one?
Adapting to their wedding.
Like something that majorly changed on wedding day.
You go first.
Okay. So it was a hurricane. I think it was Hurricane Ian. I can't remember. It was a few years ago. And they had a beautiful outdoor, it was supposed to be outdoor, tented, sailcloth, the whole thing. The day before where they were staying completely flooded, so they had to move out of there. So expectations, so where they're supposed to be staying, getting ready is not happening. Yeah. And then that night too, where the venue was, it flooded to the steps.
I remember those pictures.
Yeah, it was wild. And I'm like, how is this even possible? So in my head, I'm thinking, well, there's no way we're having a wedding. Like we can't even walk up the steps. We, blah, blah, blah. So obviously no tent was put up. So we get there that morning and I mean, it is a complete, clients were at another place, obviously getting ready. It was a complete organized chaos. So there was no power.
Oh my God.
Santee Cooper was out there with trucks all in this neighborhood trying to get power. So I went over to him at like 10 o'clock that morning. I said, what are even our chances of getting power? He said 2 to 3 days. That's what he said. It's like, oh, okay. I said, that doesn't work in our timeline. So
we did not plan for that.
I call an electrician. I call a big generator company. They bring a generator. And telling this whole story, like, if you didn't have a planner, like, they'd probably just be freaking out.
Yeah.
And so in the meantime, I'm updating them, saying I'm getting it all worked out. I'm getting a generator. They literally wire, I don't know how they did it, I'm not an electrician, the generator to the building to get power. I had to get like really special permission to do that because they were like, oh, we'll blow everything. I'm like, these are licensed electricians. They've paid a lot. They've charged us a shit ton of money to get out here. And so it gets better. So no power means all the food at the venue is now gone because it can only be.
Did they order a cake from Publix? Because that's still there. If it was shipped
the cake was delivered from the cake person. But so they started going to like Food Line, Publix, Lowe's, buying the food that they needed because all the food's gone. Obviously, U.S. Foods is not delivering.
Yeah.
It was a 3-story building. We had to separate the plated dinner from the top and the bottom. We still had in the meantime, the water's going down.
Okay.
Yeah. So it wasn't dry, but the water came down. And we literally had a wedding.
That's amazing.
ceremony, cocktail, reception. Oh, it gets better. So when the band gets there, they're on the 3rd floor.
Yeah.
I need to write a book about this
We
one.
really, yeah.
I didn't forget.
You have a lot of stories.
Oh my God.
We could
So
definitely
the
have a
band
book.
gets there. So 3rd floor, the
Publishers reach out to us.
Exactly. So at this point, we didn't have the generator, like that was all hooked up. So they couldn't take the elevator to take their equipment up there. So I said, guess what, guys? We're going to do everything outside right here. The band, the dancing, everything will be outside. So in the meantime, obviously the generator, everything starts working. I'm like, hey, guys, I know you already set up, but what is it going to cost to move to the 3rd floor now? And I said, name your price. They said $2,500. I said, take that shit up the elevator.
Let's go.
Because it was 2 gay guys, and they were like, whatever it costs to make everything happen. The band couldn't believe it. I was like, yeah, you're getting paid that much money to move all your stuff again.
Yeah, let's do it.
But it is what it is. So they moved up. I mean, it like gives me cold chills to know that like we executed and figured all that out.
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing. If you don't have a planner, who's doing that? Your bridesmaids are getting ready. Like, who's doing all that? Who has the contacts to get a giant generator out there in a few hours or an electrician out there? Like, these are that's what you're paying for. And as far as like saving money, that's what you're paying for. The wedding went on literally because of you.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Because they were from out of town. They wouldn't know who to call. And I knew the electrician. So I was like, whatever it costs.
We had,
I think he charged a little extra.
We had a destination wedding last year. A couple from Colorado, amazing couple. Everything was here. They had come down. We had booked the venue. The venue said they were doing some renovations in the meantime, so she was aware of it. So she had flown down after we already booked and wanted to see the updates on the renovations. Renovations were coming along nicely. A few rooms here and there was listed. Nothing crazy. They were going to redo a little bit of the lobby, just renovations. We had scheduled a time we did the food tasting. I met her there. We did the food tasting. We walked the rooms. We looked at the updates versus the renderings that they had.
Right.
Everything was going on schedule. We had plenty of time. The renovations were supposed to be done, I believe, in March, and her wedding was in November. So knowing construction, we had plenty of time for that cushion.
Amazing hotel, by the way. I've stayed there.
She did stay there. So
with my gun on the nightstand.
Yeah. It's funny because it's true.
I know.
So
literally,
we ended up. She came. I had to meet her there because I had emailed the venue lady who was responsive and everything about if they had a cake cutting set because she was trying to buy stuff and ship it to me. And she wrote back, yes, we have a cake cutting set, no problem. Blah blah blah. I wrote her again because I had a walkthrough scheduled in August or September, and I emailed her, and the bride was like, hey, nobody's answering the phones over there. Can you go over there? She's in Colorado. I said, yeah, look over there. So I emailed again. No, my email got bounced back. So confirming my walkthrough. So I'm like, okay. So she finally got a hold of somebody and they said that they had moved the staff out for renovations and that they were going to, another hotel was filtering the calls. So the hotel, they told her everything was fine, not to worry about a thing, who she was speaking to, and don't worry about a thing, this, that, and the other. Everything's going to be done by end of or beginning of October or something like that. So I was like, okay. Tried to confirm my walkthrough again, never heard back from her. So I decided, because I'm 15 minutes away, I'm going to just drive over there for the walkthrough anyway and see what's going on. When I tell you this place it looked like a bomb went off. There was no staff, there was no floors, there was no walls, there was electric wires hanging.
I remember you sending photos. I was like, yeah, that's not happening.
I said, this wedding is not happening in November. It's not happening. I took videos. I took pictures. I walked in like I was part of the construction crew. I was like, hey guys, good job.
You got a hard hat I can wear?
Yeah. I walked through this. I mean, the ballroom was the only thing intact. There were no elevators. Everything was just completely demolished.
And that hotel was just weird anyways, because they advertised that they had this really cool pool, but it was in the front side.
It was in the parking lot.
Literally.
And the beach was in the back. It was so strange.
Yeah.
They did this. I called her. I said, you're not having this wedding in 6 weeks. There's absolutely no way. We called the guy again who was filtering the calls. No, it's guaranteed. I said, dude, it was supposed to be done in March. She's not having this wedding in 6 weeks. You can't even, just on basic common sense of construction, you can't even get permits or COs in time.
And so what was the deal with the insurance with that? What did David say?
So they were not able to get their deposit back. So essentially the entire hotel closed down, sold, got a new owner. We had to move the entire wedding to another hotel in 6 weeks. on the same date. We were able to get the same date. And what happened was she started getting nervous because her guests were calling to book rooms and couldn't get a hold of anybody. So we ended up moving the entire wedding to another hotel down the street in 6 weeks. And I had to move all her vendors. She's still the same vendors, but the venue, the menu,
starting
everything had to be moved. Thank God they had the date available in November. It's like unheard of in Florida. So the wedding insurance, in her contract, it stated renovations. So the wedding insurance would not pay because she was aware that there would be renovations. And
makes sense. I mean,
I understand that part. I mean, renovations, it's all in wording, and be careful of this, because if they're saying there's going to be renovations, not demolishing, but they're not going to tell you, hey, we're going to demolish it. You know, like, so because she was aware that there was renovations, whether it was sold as minor renovations, window changes, she was aware of it. So she lost a $5,000 deposit because the old owners, so the hotel, so many weddings lost so much. They lost everything. And again, without a wedding planner, she was in Colorado. She was talking to a guy on the phone who was filtering calls saying, it'll be fine. And they flew in for their wedding and they walked that hotel, and the project manager on site was like, you can't be in here. He goes, what are you talking about? Her dad goes, my daughter's wedding's tomorrow. How do you plan on pulling this together? And the guy was like, what? It was one of those things, but they ended up losing their deposit because they were aware of the renovation, so insurance wouldn't pay. If they hadn't put it in the contract, she had a shot.
Right.
Also, wedding insurance does not cover irreconcilable differences for those couples trying to book it.
That is very true.
It's for unforeseen. That's still not unforeseen. Hurricanes.
Yeah, you got to read your contract. Yeah. I mean, that is huge for sure.
Yeah, so. Hurricanes, building fires, things like that. I mean, October, me and Caroline talked about this on the podcast. The tornadoes that ripped through here, who would have thought?
Right.
I mean, who would have thought? Everybody, I've lived here 30 some years. I've never seen tornadoes like that. I was videoing and sending it to you guys. They're yelling at me, go inside. I'm like, I'm a planner. I have to see which direction it's going in. I can't just go hide. If it was turning, I was going inside, but I had to see it.
That's too funny. Too funny.
Oh, we have been talking these people's ears off.
I know, right?
That's good. They love us. Now we can go to the pool.
Love it.
But in a nutshell, balancing dreams versus realities, be flexible. Everybody has a dream. Everybody has expectations, and we are always going to do our best to keep that in mind. But once you start getting those proposals, once you start getting the budget in tune, once you start getting that pricing down, be realistic that there's got to be flexibility in going up. Like you always
your expectations.
Yeah, your expectation sure. and flexibility in the budget a little bit. If you have a $100,000 budget and that's your max, tell me you have an $80,000 budget and keep that $20K in your pocket for extras. For you don't need a photo booth, but maybe you want a photo booth. You don't need a dance floor, but maybe you want a dance floor. Maybe you want drapery.
Like I have a client right now. She has 400 people coming to her wedding and they have this set number. And I said, you're going to have to cut your guest list in like half to make it happen. Yeah. And she won't let it go. And I said, well, we're going to have to double your budget.
Important. So, it's important.
No, for sure. So
I think it's important to create a must-haves and nice-to-haves list.
Of course.
My husband got one say in the wedding. He wanted a videographer. I thought they were cheesy and I would never watch it, and I didn't want it. But looking back, I'm glad I have it. It's videography, and unlike photography, it's not necessary, but it's one of those things that you may very well regret not having, but you won't regret having it. You're never going to say, God, I wish I never had that video.
Right.
So
for sure.
But you may regret not having it, even if you can just pull off a highlight reel. Something.
Yeah, no, it's definitely
something
for
to look
sure.
back on. And don't compare your wedding to social media. I mean, every star is, stick figure thin, and that's just not reality. Stop watching Instagram and looking at, these weddings in Hollywood going, oh yeah, I could do that. These are $500,000 weddings.
Or
they're
more.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And if you have it, we'd love to plan it. But, don't come with a $3,000 budget and expect, hanging florals from the ceiling and candles and things like that.
Right.
Remember that your wedding day it's your wedding day. Plan the marriage too. So enjoy the hell out of your wedding day and stop sweating the small stuff, I think.
Yeah. Like if the napkins blew off the bar, don't worry about that. Like it's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. It's a story for later. Rain on your wedding day. Control what you can. Don't worry about the things you can't control. I think just enjoy your day. Listen to your vows
Easier
when you
said
talk
than
to them.
done. I know we're saying this, but you know.
Oh, I had my grand opening last night. I remember maybe 5 minutes of it because I was like, it's just over and done with. And we planned and planned and planned, and it's over and done with. But it was a whirlwind. It's a whirlwind. It's so fun. And keep in mind, everybody there loves you and is trying to celebrate you guys. So it's just enjoy it. Enjoy the moment and enjoy your guys' day, and take some time for each other. I think on the wedding day, because you know, we were talking about this with a client the other day. These girls who don't want to do a first look or who don't, want to see each other down the aisle, that's great. If I had to do it over again, I'd do a first look. I did not spend my entire day with my husband, and it's the two of yours day. So I think spend as much time as you can with.
I agree.
I think one of the trends now is couples getting ready together. Those make the cutest shots.
Right.
They get ready together and then they enjoy each other the whole day. It's about the two of you. So enjoy it together, not separated the whole day.
Right. Agree.
You want to do the follow us? You always do
yeah, for sure.
Thank you guys for joining us again on another episode of This Takes the Cake in Palm Beach.
Woohoo. Yep. So follow us, all the fun social medias, Instagram, our website, settingyourbrilliantevents.com. You should definitely check out our new blog. It's the bomb.
It is amazing.
Obviously TikTok, Facebook, all the things. So thank you guys.
Thanks again. Bye.